Mr. Olsen, by giving you an opportunity to address something that came up. I'm sure you're aware during the questionnaire. In the initial questionnaire, you said you had never represented in any capacity a foreign government, and you also answered no when asked if you'd ever received any compensation from or had been involved in any financial or business transactions with a foreign government or any entity controlled by a foreign government. Then in additional pre-hearing questions that sort of asked specifically about consulting work, you noted that you were a part-time consultant for two firms, Fairfax National Security Solutions and Booz Allen Hamilton, and worked on matters involving advice for or to the Saudi Arabian government. So that, I just want to give you an opportunity to address why you answered about your work for Saudi Arabia through these consulting firms in the follow-up pre-hearing questions, but did not address it in the initial questionnaire, how you interpreted. I didn't want to give you an opportunity to address it.
I appreciate that very much, Vice Chairman. I interpreted that the questions about representing foreign governments, I suppose as a lawyer, strictly, did I represent those governments? The answer to that is no. I did disclose in the other form that I did a limited amount of work for two firms, Booz Allen and Fairfax National Security Solutions, that was in support of two initiatives involving the Saudi government. One was their interest in building a national counterterrorism center of their own, and the other was defensive cyber protections. So if I misunderstood, I apologize. My goal was to answer the question as directly as possible.
The nature of your work was advice. You provided them advice and insight as to how to set up the counterterrorism center and the defensive cyber?
Yes.
Through these entities?
Through Booz Allen Hamilton and Fairfax National Security Solution. So very limited.
I think that the follow-up question would have just bears asking, have you provided any other advice like that to any other foreign governments?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, Mr. Monheim, let me ask you, how would you handle, I think I brought this up when we spoke, an instance in which your legal analysis and conclusion as the IG would differ from the CIA's Inspector General or from the ODNI's legal counsel. This committee confronted that at one point, either last year or late the year before. How would you handle those instances in which your legal analysis and conclusion are different from what the IG at the agency or a CIA or the legal counsel at the ODNI?
Thank you, Vice Chairman. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you yesterday, and I appreciate this question on this important matter. I think it raises very good questions of the respective roles and responsibilities and authorities of a variety of senior leaders in the agency and the community. I think that the overall shared objective of all of those positions are to ensure that Congress is fully and currently informed, and I'm confident that you would get the information that you needed to do your job. I think part of the independence that is built into the Inspector General system is that I have my own counsel to the Inspector General that does not go through the Office of General Counsel. So in terms of being provided legal advice, I have my own counsel to have that independent legal advice. I will say in my time as acting IG, I worked very closely and collaboratively with the ODNI Office of General Counsel and never had an issue where we disagreed such that it mattered in terms of the DNI's performance of their duties or Congress. But if that did arise, and if confirmed in the future if that arose, I would work closely and collaboratively to try to address those issues. But in the end of the day, I think I have an independent duty to ensure Congress is fully and currently informed, and I would commit to do that.
Dr. Dixon, finally, with the exception, putting aside the FBI for a moment and its law enforcement role and its domestic obligations, and this is not a trick question, it's more of something that's really important, and it's important for people to, it's part of the whole confidence building in our intelligence community, but would you agree that there has to be a foreign threat nexus for our intelligence agencies to collect and analyze on the activities of a U.S. person, separate from a law enforcement function, which is looking at crimes that someone may or may not be committing. But when it comes to the intelligence agencies of the U.S. government, or even the intelligence roles of individual agencies, for us to unleash the power of the intelligence community to be used to collect and analyze on what an American is doing, a U.S. citizen, a U.S. person is doing, you agree that there has to be a foreign threat nexus?
Vice Chairman Rubio, yes, I do agree that there has to be a foreign threat nexus.
Okay, thank you. Senator Feinstein.